Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. A limited crowd has been confirmed to be in place for the Anthony Joshua vs Kubrat Pulev fight, which is for 3 of the 4 major titles on December 12th in the United Kingdom. So this event is being held at the SSE Arena at Wembley, and 1,000 fans will attend. So this is according to a press release which has been released by Matchroom Boxing. You can see here on screen, so it says welcome back, 1,000 fans to attend. So I know that they've been talking about this for a little while. They wanted to have some sort of crowd, but given some of the circumstances in the United Kingdom, judging from afar here in New Zealand, I sort of thought that maybe it was looking pretty unlikely, but they've managed to get it over the line. So we'll go through a little bit of the detail and then a few thoughts. And in general with this fight, it just sort of seems that the build-up has been a little bit muted, but that's not, necessarily surprising, because this fight has been talked about for a year now, because it was called basically a year ago, almost a year to the day to this video, that the IBF called the mandatory to be fulfilled. And obviously it's been postponed. It was meant to happen mid-2020, but now we get it. So we'll talk about that just a little bit too. But you can see here in the press release, so it talks about the 1,000 fans, yada, yada, yada. Interesting, the safety measures, which we'll get to, but the tickets a little bit more pricier than normal, and with only 1,000 fans in attendance, perhaps that's not surprising. So tickets start at £100, going all the way up to £1,000. But of the safety measures, because it says strict safety measures and guidelines will be in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19, the lead booker can only attend with members of their own household. ID, including address, will be required upon entry. So a little bit of paperwork to be carried in the back pocket. So Matchroom Boxing, it says, are participating in the NHS test and trace scheme. Lead booker details will be collected and shared for this in line with legal guidelines, and NHS track and trace check-in codes will be in place for fans to scan at entrances. So this is part of a wider test that's happening in the United Kingdom. And it also says you must not attend an event if you have tested positive for COVID-19, are required to self-isolate, or have suffered from COVID-19 symptoms within 14 days of the event. And I guess that sort of sounds pretty, like, well, duh. But I guess, maybe some, hardcore boxing fan who wants to be there, wants to see this in person, potentially may sort of chance their arm on this sort of thing. But it will be interesting to see, well, how would they even sort of stop that? And I know elsewhere, these sorts of events where they're indoors, there's lots of people, even though there'll be spacing, all that sort of stuff, these have been classed as super spreader events elsewhere, or the potential to be that, I should say. And obviously it talks about face coverings, etc. No refunds, and tickets can't be sold. So I'll just quickly get to a comment from Eddie Hearn further down in the press release. So he says, I can't tell you how happy I am to see fans returning to our live boxing events. Whilst the team have done an incredible job over the last 10 months, we live and breathe through the energy and atmosphere that a live crowd generates. It is so fitting that they can return for an AJ fight when through the last few years he has broken all kinds of attendance records in the UK and beyond. This is such a positive move for boxing and all sport. Welcome back. Well, I guess in terms of boxing in the United Kingdom, having a crowd back, I mean, this just could be the first step. And obviously, this could be this sort of situation with limited crowds and certain protocols, strict protocols in place. It certainly is a sort of a hat tip to what we're probably likely going to see for at least an extended period, not just in the United Kingdom, but elsewhere as well, depending on the country and their response to the pandemic, etc. There are different things in place, but obviously live sport in the United Kingdom, I mean, and you can sort of look at lower sort of tier promoters who will probably take a lot of heart from this too in the United Kingdom for small hall shows. Obviously, they can't have any shows at the moment, or haven't had any shows in recent months, and no shows, the fighters don't get paid, and also the promoters, well, they're not losing any money, but they're not making any money at the same time. So perhaps this sort of thing could be replicated at a lower level. I don't know, maybe there's too much sort of red tape involved to make it, work at a, if the scale in terms of fans is less, I don't know, but I'm sure people will be looking at this as a positive step. And this could be something, especially for Cards Matchroom, Frank Warren, whoever else in the United Kingdom, that this could be the norm for bigger events for some considerable time, that there will be maybe 20% of the venue that is filled, and there's spacing and all sorts of things in place. But overall, I mean, seen as a positive step. But just when I was sort of about to record this video and I was thinking about this fight, and I've already done some coverage, and I did a sparring video the other week. I had the different sparring partners, and since we've seen in here on screen, Fabio Wardley, he's been in camp in the last day or two, etc. But this fight, it just feels like there's not a whole lot of oomph, behind the build-up to it. And some of that is because of the pandemic, of course, but I think because it has been postponed and we've been waiting for a year, and it kind of feels like the heavyweight division most of this year has been on complete hold. And there's been the whole in the background, will they, won't they, for Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua in 2021. But, I just was wondering, are there some of the crumbs of the ingredients for an upset here that it would be easy to look past Kubrat Pulev? I mean, it feels like some of the atmosphere that was ahead of the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. And I'm not saying it is going to be an upset because Joshua is the favourite. He has some advantages over Pulev. He's the fresher man too, and he is expected to win here. But there's just a couple of things I sort of thought, yeah, just feels a little bit, lackadaisical, this whole sort of build-up. What do you make of it? What do you make of fans coming back? Do you see this as a positive sign for the future, a new sort of normal potentially for bigger boxing events in the United Kingdom? Let me know. Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.